So I'm delighted this morning to be with Bill Patel from I-Occupy. And Bill, your background initially was as an electrical company, which you sold off a number of years ago. Then you moved into the HMO market in Luton. So can you just update the listeners a little bit more about your background before I steal your thunder?
Cool, no worries. Okay, well, started full-time investing in property in 2011, bought my first property in 2007, and been investing ever since full-time in Luton since 2011. Previously, I built up an electrical contracting business from scratch, sold that, and went full-time into property. Started off with student HMOs. First one was quite a large one, a nine bed. Started quite big and just built the portfolio up from there. So we've got about just under 100 HMO units now. A couple of our units as well, we're testing out on the service side of things. So them on booking.com and Airbnb. And currently, the forthcoming year, we've got we're doing a few HMO developments probably at the back end of the year, but not as aggressively as we have been doing. And we've got a couple of larger developments. We've got a 15-unit development of flats and studios, and we've got a slightly larger one, 37 units, all in Luton Town Centre.
So it's a very, very busy year. I know you're busy next week because you're at my meet, and you've also got a meet the day after as well in London. So less time in Luton next week than in London. So you're coming to my Wandsworth property meet. The reason why I like what you do, your marketing is quite amazing, particularly things which are very simple. I still would love to know where you got the ideas from, but the yearbook, which is absolutely amazing, because I've worked with over 150 speakers, maybe 100 to 150, and no one has ever done a yearbook, which, to be fair, is a fairly simple idea, but a very effective idea as well. It's much more effective than just a pop-up banner. And I know my audience loves you because of your brand as well, the I-Occupy brand, and brand is a key part of your company as well. And I'm sure at one point we're going to go into a lot more detail about the brand. In terms of software, so looking at the nitty-gritty, what software helps your business?
Okay, so we previously, on the letting side, we're using LetMC, which is like an online cloud-based software. We found it very, very clunky, used it for a couple of years, never really got on top of it in the fact that, the systems and stuff, it wasn't intuitive. You had to have an accounting brain, and say, a negotiator, for example, would actually struggle with it, trying to get the accounts right and everything. I've come up with a very, very simple solution. So we've not used that anymore, and we're now just using our accounting software, which is called Xero. And all our accountant does once a month is load up all the, we have like a template spreadsheet that gets uploaded into Xero, which creates all the invoices for 1 month for all the rent. And that's it. We've just got all the contacts, and our lettings negotiator has, and management as well. She does the management as well, Gemma, in our office. She has access to pretty much any person's account, all the sales side of things in Xero. So anyone calls up, straight away it shows up all the late rent payments. If someone else gets charged, you can add an invoice to the account. It's very, very easy and simple to manage from that perspective. And we're finding that so much more easier, like a breath of fresh air.
Have you looked at using things like ARF Online, which are connected?
We looked at that, but for our Xero subscription, even 100 tenancies at the moment, our Xero subscription for £20 a month or whatever it is does what it says on the tin. We've got a couple other spreadsheets that are running in the background that support that, i.e. maintenance logs, and a few other systems that run, but very, very simple. But it just makes life so much easier. It really does on that side. And Xero syncs with the bank, so you know that there's no human error with regards to reconciliation or doubling up any transactions. It's just a direct bank feed from either Lloyds or Barclays, whichever. They actually got lead feeds for pretty much all the banks, I think, now.
Sure, Bill. In terms of looking at this, we've looked at the software, but what's your best investment for below £100?
Well, I'd say definitely Xero is one, but another one, without a shadow of a doubt, is Dropbox. We use the premium Dropbox, and it's just I'm sure you use it, and it's just brilliant for dropping stuff in. Using anywhere you are, you can add things to it and just collaborate as well. So it really works really well for us. For the office, people editing documents and other people picking them up at different times. So that's probably, and that's, I don't know, 60 quid a year, I think, each per head, £70 a year per head. So that really works well.
And it's quite hard for me to ask this question because you seem so busy right now. The question was about your vision going forward in 5 years,
Yes.
or maybe even a shorter term period than that.
Yeah.
What would your answer to that be, Bill?
Well, we've got we're currently investing in a couple of bigger projects, and I see a few more of those larger projects happening over the next couple of years. So the 37 unit development, which is starting in the next month or so, will be live by the end of the year, and we'll be looking to transition into another larger development and start build, say, the start of next year again, so carry on next year. So I foresee possibly a couple other smaller HMOs added to the portfolio. But we've got a large focus at the moment on C1 buildings where we can get serviced units, and we're hitting a little sweet spot between Airbnb and hotels, which is a bit of a niche market. And we've just had quite a positive valuation on the 37 units, and the valuers are very positive about this emerging market because it's not really very, for bigger blocks built specifically for smaller units, but people to rent out short term or just for a couple of nights is not so common. There's a lot of Airbnbs, the odd flat here and there, and sort of stuff. And we're also in talks with a couple of the airlines up at Luton Airport, which may take possibly the whole block. So all positive at the moment.
Sure. In terms of the best piece of business advice you've been given, what's your golden nugget? And I'm sure we could do a whole 1 hour or more on this, and that's the beauty of joining you on your skiing trip in March. I think you're skiing.
Yes,
mid-March, something like that.
Yeah. I think the best tip I've received, and there's so many, but the thing that just popped in my head now, Brendan, is just simplicity. Keep things simple. Just going back to the software thing, you've got the ARF Online, you've got all these other different ones. The simplicity of just running it on zero, monthly invoices, getting invoiced against all the tenants on the rent dates, just a spreadsheet that gets uploaded once a month and creates all the invoices and is checked every month. It just works so much easier. There's a lot of messing around and going into people's accounts and transferring money and all this sort of stuff that we had going on before. Plus, because we don't manage other people's stuff, it keeps it very simple. It's all within our own properties. We only manage our own properties. So keeping things simple, I think, is one of our keys to how we've done quite well.
And in terms of how Brexit's affected your purchasing criteria, has it impacted?
No, I'd say not at all, really. I think the market's cooled off a little bit in Luton because Luton, I think, had the largest growth in the country last year, capital growth, we saw some incredible things going on, which was hard to keep up when you're doing your numbers, when the property market's moving that quickly. Will it still stack? It raises a lot of questions. But it has cooled off, and if anything, it makes life a little bit easier because, numbers are a lot more steady and stable, and you can predict outcomes on the back end when you're working back your figures. So no, I'd say not at all. And a couple of the larger developments have been, let's say, offer accepted. One of them was the 37 unit, which we're now going to start building, was offer accepted subject to planning back in May 2015. So these larger deals take a little while to come through. So we haven't really seen anything on the Brexit side affecting our business too much. And we have transitioned a little bit more into the larger development from smaller HMOs. That's just a course of progression, I think.
Sure. So in terms of golden nuggets, it looks from behind you that you're an avid reader. Is that right? You're continuously reading, continuously keeping up to date.
Yeah.
Is it through mostly books or Audible or mixture?
I'd say I've got a lot of books there, but I've not read them all. So I think that most of it, I listen to a lot of Audible. So in the car, when I'm driving, when I'm traveling, all day long. And I love an audio book, and that's where I take up most of my information, to be fair. So a lot of the books you might see behind me there are I've got them all on Audible, so I do listen to them. So
if my listeners are thinking of who your top 3 Audible selections are, what would they be, or even top 1?
Okay, so I've got one that I'm listening to at the moment, which is absolutely brilliant, which I'd highly recommend. I haven't quite finished it. I'm probably about an hour off. It's called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Likiani. Loving that. I also love The Compound Effect as well. Another one of my favourites. I love the principles in that as well. So they're sort of the 2 that jump to my mind straight away.
Okay, that's interesting. I've heard of The Compound Effect. I think that's Darren Hardy.
That's right.
I haven't read it, to be fair. I haven't listened to it. But the first one I've never come across. So after the interview, I'll be scribbling down that particular one. In terms of brand, though, who's been your biggest influence in the brand? Because the brand is so strong in many different aspects. I mentioned about the yearbook, but people pick up different things, whether it's your website, whether it's the London Tube map, which is quite important. Who's been your biggest influence in brand?
Well, the brand evolved very early, and it did take a lot of talking between myself, Darren, and James as the 3 directors of what we finally came up with. We sort of almost brought it 90% to fruition, and then gave it to designer to put final tweaks in. So it was really a lot of our sort of own design and thoughts in our head. But I can remember we've done a course, or we've done a weekend with I forget his name now, BJ Cunningham.
Okay, I've heard of BJ Cunningham.
He's hot on branding as well, and we took a bit of inspiration from that as well, and taking it forward. For us, the business. Let I-Occupy be the brand. We will sit behind it and let that drive everything that we do. So it doesn't matter whether it's James going to one of your talks, or whether it's me. It's all I-Occupy sort of branded, or someone in the office, and we just try and it helps as well. It helps from the tenant side. It helps from the investment side. Makes things very clear going forward, and it does help, I think. Yeah.
And it makes a difference to event organisers as well, because they remember you as soon as they see the yearbook. But it's not just a yearbook; it's other things as well.
Yeah.
In terms of, and I could go on and on. I just ask one final question, because I know you're coming along this Tuesday, and people are going to have a lot more time to connect with you, ask you those key questions. Well, I'll ask two key questions. In terms of finance, how do you fund your deals? Investors? Have you looked at crowdfunding?
Yeah.
So that's a 2-part answer, possibly.
Yeah. So firstly, standardly, it varies. It could be our cash and investor cash, a mixture. Sometimes it is bank development finance plus our cash, or sometimes even it's bank development finance, our cash, and investor cash. So it's a total hybrid. And it just depends on the deal, the size of the deal, what bank we're using, what funds we have available. So it does vary, but we are using a lot of development finance. We've used Close Brothers in the past. We're using Lloyds. We've done quite a good deal with Lloyds and refinanced some of our portfolio at, I think, 2.85. Real good commercial rates across, a few of our properties, and it's proven to, up the cash flow by a couple of grand. So it's all positive stuff out there. I think the finance at the moment is so cheap. It really is. There's a lot of people fighting for business.
Sure. Yeah. So in terms, and where do you see crowdfunding fitting into your company? Is it something you're looking at, something you're putting on the back burner?
Yeah, no, it's something we're looking at the moment. So there's nothing, we haven't actually used crowdfunding as of yet. So I can't say anything on that, but it's something that we're open to, and we haven't yet done a deal that we've used crowdfunding yet.
Because your brand is so strong.
Yeah. I think it's a good avenue, Brendan, definitely, and we will be exploring it in the future for sure.
Sure. And in terms, and the final question, because I did promise it would be short, 10 to 15, and we're almost going over 20. So the final question is about, how do you find your deals? Sources, agents, online?
Okay, all of it is through agents. So we use local agents, the commercial agents and the residential agents. So commercial agents are a little bit different kettle of fish, but both of them in some ways is all relationships. So, going in, seeing them regularly, keeping in touch with them, going out for a beer on the personal level. there's loads of things, but we try to keep in touch with all the agents regularly, and that's how we get pretty much all of our deals. There's a few that come through word of mouth, which helps with the reputation. However, the majority of them are all for agents.
So, Bill, there's a number of ways to connect with you. One is by coming along to my upcoming meet on Tuesday evening, on the 21st of this month, 21st of February. Now, if you're listening to this interview after that day, and if you're listening before March, I know you're on a skiing trip. Do you have any idea the date when that skiing trip is?
I'll have to get my diary up, Brendan. But
the skiing trip is organised by John Cox, who runs the property meet, which is based in Gerrard's Cross area. So
it's called Property Off Piste, and I think we're starting on the 19th of March, running through for a week. Finishing on the 25th of March, I believe.
And am I right in saying that's yourself and your brother who will be on that skiing trip? Myself
and Darren. James doesn't ski, unfortunately, so he won't be coming. But we'll be giving away loads and loads of info about our business over that period, and doing a little bit of skiing in the morning. So we can cut the day in half. A bit of skiing in the morning or afternoon, and a bit of property in the morning or afternoon.
So for those who can't make Wandsworth, who possibly can't make the skiing trip, can they connect with you in another way?
Yeah, there's loads of different ways. So you guys can connect via Facebook. We've got the I-Occupy page, so come and follow us on there. We always post information about what we're up to and a few tips if you're doing HMOs as well. You can follow us on Instagram as well. And obviously that you can always drop us an email via the website. And if you guys want to get in contact, drop me an email. I'm just Bill, BILL, at I-Occupy, OCCUPY.co.uk.
So as I say, I'm really delighted that Bill's on my panel next Tuesday. As I say, in terms of property, one of the smartest marketers and more branding than marketing. As I say, and you're so busy at the moment. So I want to say huge thanks for you taking time out to come to Wandsworth on Tuesday evening. So thanks, Bill, and thank you. And thanks to the listeners.
Cheers.